the genocide in Rwanda. 20 years on, many Rwandans, a majority of them, don't remember the genocide. A young population, how the genocide is taught in schools is just one of the issues that we've been looking at.
Last-minute revision for these students as they bid to pass end-of-term exams. History is a key subject. 15-year-old Eddie recounts some of what he's learned about the 1994 genocide.
We have learned in general that the Tutsis were sometimes hated by the Hutus. That's why they committed the genocide. Then, in 1994, the genocide stopped. And that's when we said Rwandans are all the same.
No more Hutus, no more Tutsis. Eddie recites his lesson. In Rwanda, history is a tool of reconciliation. Teachers must stay true to this ethos at all times.
They receive certain influences in their respective families. That we cannot deny. Within the national curriculum, we try to offset this. I believe that the teacher himself must change to grasp the concept of reconciliation before giving his lesson. Otherwise, he might let his personal feelings get in the way, perhaps even more so, because we don't have textbooks.
Accused of peddling the propaganda of the extremist regime, old textbooks have been relegated to the archives, replaced by oral teaching.
The Europeans depicted Tutsis as more noble than Hutus, as closer to them, the Europeans, who are the most noble. You understand? The ideology of domination, where everyone has to be in their place. Therefore, history was written and taught in that way, and that led to the genocide.
20 years later, many elements of the genocide remain unclear. Rwanda has yet to fully revisit this sensitive chapter of its history.
And again, we'll be talking more about this in the France 24 debate. The ceremony that's taking place at the Amahoro Stadium in Kigali, as our reporter Georgian Galvin Smith was telling us earlier, taking place in two parts. It began with the lighting of a flame that will burn for 100 days. That was the length of time that the 1994 Rwandan genocide happened. There was, at the ceremony, Paul Kagame and an apology, a public apology from the head of the United Nations. Let's go to the Amahoro Stadium now and join two people who did not live through the Rwandan genocide. 18-year-old Lilian and 20-year-old Leslie. You've both taken part in the Walk to Remember that ended up, that brought you to where you are today, right now, inside of that stadium. Thanks for joining us here on France 24. Let's begin with you, Leslie. I know that you're also a member of an organization called Peace and Life Proclaimers. How did it feel being out there in that walk today?
It's empowering, and it's one way of feeling part of the country, feeling part of the change, and enjoying the privilege that we have.
Who were you thinking of when you were taking part in that walk?
The past Rwandans who were victims for the genocide, and another thing is that during the walk, you remember how the past was, and where you're going, the future. You think of the future and the hope that you have today for the future.
Lilian,
it's also a way of honoring those who were killed in the genocide. And so when we are walking, we remember that they walked many miles, hiding or perhaps searching for a way to hide. So when we are walking, we are honoring them. We are doing the same thing that they did past 20 years ago.
Lilian, let me ask you a personal question here. Rwandans have a reputation of being stoic. Is it something you talk about with your family?
Yeah, sometimes we talk about it because first it's a way of freeing your heart, and it helps really in the part of healing. It heals really people's heart. So when you talk about it, many people knows about it and perhaps think how they can avoid that in their country, or also avoid that it can happen again. But also it's a way of freeing your heart and healing your heart.
Has there been, when you were growing up, did you feel the weight of history, or is it a case today where Hutus and Tutsis live together side by side? It's all in the past.
It's different. It's different. Yes, we know the past was like that. We are being taught about it. We learn it in our school, and we also talk about it in our homes. But still, we don't live that world. Nowadays, we understand that it happened. We understand that that's how it was. But it's one way of fighting its repetition. It can't happen again now that we know it very clearly.
Let me ask you, Leslie, I know that you have a scholarship to go to university in America. Tell us a little bit about your plans.
How? Sorry?
I was going to ask both of you what your plans were for the future.
I'm going to the University of Rochester in New York, in the US. So my plan is to do public health, and I hope that after 4 years, after I graduate, I hope that my Rwanda will be having people with a good health. I want to improve everything in this health sector. That's my plan, and with also some fellow Rwandese that we're going together in the US to do our public health studies.
And how about you, Lilian?
Well, for me, when I finish high school, I want to be a doctor, and specifically I'll do courses that will enable me to be a cardiologist. And being a cardiologist is not because of any other reason, just because I know in Rwanda we have very few cardiologists, and I want to help fellow Rwandese have a better health so that they can participate in the development and enjoy the development that we have right now.
All right, well, we wish best of luck to both of you, Lilian and Leslie. Thank you very much for joining us on what is an important day for
Thank
you.
you very much. We love you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
And we hope to see you.
Come to our Rwanda.
We will. We will. And we hope to hear back from you to see how those studies are going as well. Thank you for joining us here on France 24.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Stay with us, much more to come here at the bottom of the hour. We'll have more on those commemorations of the 20th anniversary of the genocide. We'll also be bringing you all the day's business and sports news. You're watching France 24.